So let's talk about a super common business situation. A customer needs a service, right? And it's your job to give them a professional, trackable offer. We're going to break down exactly how you can turn that simple request into an official service quotation using SAP S4HANA Cloud. So, what's the secret? How do you actually bridge that gap between just talking with a customer and having a real, honest-to-goodness service order in your system that your team can actually work on? Well, that's the journey we're going to map out right now. First things first, you got to know where to even begin. You know, any great process always starts with finding the perfect tool for the job. And that tool, your new best friend, is the Manage Service Quotations Fiori app. Seriously, think of this as your command center. It's the one spot where every single quote gets created, sent, and managed, from the very beginning to the very end. Now, you can't just waltz into the command center, right? You need the right key. And in SAP, that key is your business role. The specific one you need is Customer Service Manager. This is what actually gives you the permissions to get in there and do your thing, to create and manage these quotations. So, you're in the app. Awesome. But right away, you've got a big decision to make. See, not all quotes are the same, and you have to choose the right path right from the get-go. And here's that choice. You've got two main options. First up is the standard service quotation. This is your go-to for time and materials jobs, where the price is flexible. Think about a complicated repair. You're billing for the actual hours and parts you use. The other option, the fixed price service quotation. This is for when you've agreed on one single price for the whole package, like a standard installation. Getting this right is absolutely crucial because it sets up how you're going to build a customer down the line. Okay, path chosen. Let's get down to business and actually build this quote from scratch. Step one is all about laying the foundation. You know, the who, what, and when. You'll pick your quotation type, of course, identify the customer, which SAP calls the sold-to party, set up the timeline, and give the whole thing a clear description. You have to get these basics in before you can do anything else. All right, step two is where we add the meat to the bones. This is where you list out every single service, product, or part. You can tweak the pricing for each item and even use prepackaged service bundles to make life a little easier. Pro tip, hit save and edit as you go to lock in your progress before you finalize everything. And last but not least, step three, the finishing touches. These are the little things that make the quote truly complete. You'll want to set an expiration date for the offer. The system calls this the validity end date. Assign a specific contact person, add any big picture costs like freight, and maybe include some notes for your team or for the customer. Once that's all in, you hit save, and voila, your draft is officially in the system. But creating the quote, that's really just the beginning of the story. Now it starts its own little journey, and it's up to you to track its progress. This timeline pretty much shows you the entire life of a quote. It starts out as open. As soon as you send it off, that status flips to sent to customer. If you end up having to make some changes during negotiations, the system is smart. It automatically switches to under review. And then finally, it reaches the end of the line, either accepted or rejected. Every status tells you exactly what's going on. And this is so important. That status field is so much more than just a label. It's the living, breathing, official record of your entire negotiation with that customer. Anyone on your team can look at it and know exactly where things stand. It's a total game changer for keeping everyone on the same page. So, what happens after you get the good news? After you get that yes, what does clicking accept in the system really do? Well, this is where the magic happens. The second you mark a quote as accepted, you're not just changing a status. You're actually kicking off this powerful, automated process that saves a ton of time and pretty much eliminates manual data entry. And here's exactly what goes down. Instantly, automatically, the system creates a brand new service order. And get this, that new order number pops up right there in your original quote's transaction history. It creates this perfect, unbroken digital trail all the way from the initial offer to the actual work order. That's a pretty slick workflow, I know, but business is messy, isn't it? Things change. So what do you do when a customer accepts a quote, but then a little while later realizes they need to add something extra? Don't worry, the system has you covered. There's a special tool for this exact scenario called follow-up quotations. It lets you create a new, separate quote just for those additional items. And once that follow-up quote is accepted, the system is smart enough to just copy those new items over to the service order you already have open. It keeps everything neat, tidy, and connected. And if you ever want to see how all this fits into the bigger picture, just remember, every quote, every order, every follow-up, it's all integrated into the Customer 360-degree View app. This gives you that amazing high-level overview of your entire history with any customer, all in one spot. So you see, creating a service quotation isn't just some boring administrative task. It's actually the first critical step in a really smooth automated service process. You've totally mastered the quote now, so the real question is, are you ready to manage the entire customer journey?
You know,